Today I'm making a soup using the much-maligned parsnip, or is it a gnarly-looking carrot? Hi, and welcome back to My Left Frying Pan. Hey, welcome to all my new subscribers. Thanks for joining the fun. And for all my loyal subscribers, thank you for every week tuning in. You really, and all your comments, they really brighten my day. Thank you. And all your comments about what you want to see me do on the show. And I'm listening. So today we're going to be making a soup because people are going, hey, will you show us how to make some more soups? And so I'm going to take a leek. I'm not going to take a leek. I'm taking leeks. Oh my goodness. And it's called leek, parsnip, and apple soup, okay? Because I am so creative when it comes to naming. I've never been one of those people that go, oh, we're going to make a leeky, parsnippy soup. I don't know. Anyway, so that's what we're going to make today. So it calls for leeks, which is like an onion. It's got some canola oil, so it's heart healthy. The parsnips, which a lot of people hate, but you know what they do in this recipe? They just add kind of an element of fabulous flavor, and they make it really creamy. Now, is it a large apple or two little ones? Whatever you've got in the fridge will do, and any kind of apple works in this. I just wouldn't use like a really expensive one like a Honeycrisp, which I think you should just really be, eating out of hand. It calls for a celery stalk, one celery stalk. It calls for fresh ginger, which I'm going to grate, peel and all, and it calls for ground thyme. This is not leaves, this is ground thyme. Much more intense than just the actual leaves from thyme. And then it calls for 1 liter or 4 cups of no salt added chicken broth. And at the very end, we're going to finish it up with a half a cup of 5% cream. It's called light cream, or you could use skim milk, evaporated skim milk for the same idea. All right, so first things first, we're going to take a leek. I'm going to show you how to cut it and wash it. Here's another comment I keep getting asked. How do you sharpen your knife? Okay, on guard! This is how I sharpen my knife. All right, this is called a steel. You need one of these. They eventually wear out, but it takes kind of a long time. And then when you're buying a knife, always get one that kind of fits your hand. If it's too big, it's going to be heavy, and you should really test drive one. Anyway, this is what I do. I go 1 in the front, 1 in the back, 1 in the front, 1 in the back. And I do this depending on how much I'm cooking. And sometimes I'm cooking so much, like when I'm writing a new book, I'm cooking all the time. And so it really depends. But for a regular person, I think that you probably could sharpen it like maybe once or twice a week. All right, I cut the root part off of the leek, and then see how the seam is right there? That's where you basically want to cut just above it, because you don't eat the green. Now, don't throw away the green, because you're going to use that for your soup stock. And we're going to make, whoa, the reflexes of a cat. And we're going to make soup stock down the road. So I'm going to put that in my fridge and make soup stock. And then where that seam was, we're going to slice it right down, but not through, so that all these little layers, all the little layers of leek are going to be opened up. And the reason you do that is that leeks are grown in sand, and a lot of times they're full of dirt and grit. So when you cut them, but not all the way through, we're going to take this and rinse them under the sink. So you open up the little, layers of leek on both sides, and you just let the water run down and through. And that way you get out of any kind of sand or grit. And that's the only thing that, people have a little bit of a hard time when they're cooking leeks, is that they might be sandy, and it's probably because they didn't wash them very well. And then we're just going to slice them, because it's really a lot safer to slice when something's on a flat surface. So I like to cut them in half right through. And we're just going to slice them up, and then we're going to start the soup. Now, some people don't like to use that the really dark green part, because it tends to be kind of stringy. So I'm going to save that for my soup stock too. Done. So if you time this out right, then you can be cooking the leeks and then chopping the vegetables that are going to go into it as well. So I'm adding my canola oil. It's a heart healthy one, has omega-3 fatty acids in it. And then I'm going to add, listen to that sizzle. Oh, I can hear it. Add in my leeks, and they're going to take about 5 minutes to cook. And I particularly like this flat-edged wooden thing that you can see that's been actually almost burned on the stove, but I love it. So you're just going to keep sauteing this, and while that is doing its thing, you can start cutting up the parsnips. So we're going to keep cooking up the parsnips, those are leeks, until they sort of shrunk more, okay? Because you want the dreaded shrinkage in this recipe. So about 5 minutes. Okay, the 5 minutes are up. And now we're going to throw in all of these other vegetables and the apple and the garlic. And we're going to throw it all into the pot, saute it up, and wait for the next step. Sprinkle in the thyme. Time on my hands and a leek in the pot. I'm going to add the chicken broth now. Now, if you're vegetarian, you could totally just use some vegetable broth if you want, but look for the lower sodium or the no salt added. Add the broth, bring it up to a boil. When it starts boiling, we're going to cover it and then cook it for about 20-25 minutes. All right, so let's just check to see whether this is done. The 20 minutes have gone by. Oh yeah, it looks lovely and soft. You can see that the parsnips and the apple are really super soft. So we're going to turn the heat off, and then I'm going to blend it in a blender. You can use a handheld immersion if you want, but I want this to be really silky smooth, and I find that in a blender is a much better job. Okay, now here's the big deal when it comes to blending. See all that steam? Well, you don't want the steam. Oops. You don't want the steam to just stay in because it's going to blow the top off. So that's when you take the lid off of your blender, if you can figure the heck how to do it. There you go. Okay, so you want to take the little vent off, or if you're worried that it's going to blow all over your kitchen, you can kind of put it on an angle. Holy moly. All right, and now we're going to add the half a cup of 5% cream or light cream. Now, if the soup is super thick, it might be because you boiled it too fast and you got rid of too much of the broth, so you might have to add a little bit more. Okay, so we'll just put that in now, and on it goes. Oh my gosh, that's going to be fantastic. Okay, ladle it into some bowls. Oh, it looks like velvet. And actually, I'm just going to pour it in, and look how unbelievably creamy, beautiful that is. Sort of save it all out, serve it all out. And voila, through a steam of leek and parsnip and apple soup. All right, well, thanks for watching this week. If you like what you saw, give me a thumbs up and leave me your comments and questions. I love answering them all, and I usually get to every single one of them. If you want to subscribe, click on my face over there, and if you want the recipe for last week, click there. And the recipe for this is below. Just there's a little kind of a little arrow. Just click on that, and the recipe drops down. Till next time, I'm wishing you peace, love, and fiber. I think this is too hot to eat, but I'll try. Oh my gosh, that's good. Mmm, mmm, mmm.